Hello, my dear viewers. In this video, we are discussing briefly about Virashaivism, which includes its foundational texts and its concepts. Let us start. Virashaivism is also known as Lingayatism, is a vibrant and distinctive Shaiva tradition that arose in medieval South India, particularly in Kannada-speaking region of Karnataka. It evolved as a socio-spiritual movement in response to the entrenched orthodoxy of caste-based ritualism, elaborate Brahminical rites, and growing social inequalities. Rooted in deeply experiential spirituality centered on worship of Shiva as a Ishtalinga, the Virashaiva tradition emphasizes inner realization, which means Anubhava, over external ritualism, and community ethics, which means Achara, over hierarchical norms. The Virashaivism presents a unique blend of radical social reforms, intense devotional mysticism, and rigorous metaphysical inquiry. In many ways, it parallels and predates the later Bhakti movements that swept across India while retaining its own doctrinal autonomy. Etymology. The term Virashaiva combines two core ideas. First one is Veera, meaning heroic or valiant, which connoting spiritual courage, resistance to ignorance and injustice. Second one, Shaiva, which denotes devotion to the Shiva, the supreme divine principle. Thus, Virashaiva is heroic devotee of Shiva. The word Lingayata is combination of two words which are Linga and Ayata, which means one who is entrusted with or centered on a linga. Founders of Virashaivism. The five founders of Virashaivism as given below. First one is Renukacharya, second one is Dharukacharya, third one is Eko Ramacharya, fourth one is Panditaradhyacharya, fifth one is Vishwaradhyacharya. These five founders of Virashaivism is collectively called as Panchacharyas, the foundational texts of Virashaivism. This Virashaivism culture is preserved in both oral and written traditions, primarily consisting the following texts. First one, Vachanas, second one, Sri Siddhanta Sikhamani, third one, Shunya Sampadane, fourth one, Virashaiva Agamas. First one, Vachanas. The Vachanas are concise and aphoristic and the poetic compositions by the 11th and 12th century Sharanas, which means spiritually realized devotees. The key features of Vachanas. First one, authorial diversity. These Vachanas are composed by over 200 Sharanas, both men and women, of all the castes and occupations. Second one, mystical tone. Direct expression of divine experience, which means Anubhava, not abstract and speculation. Third one is ethical emphasis. Advocates righteous action, which means Sadachara, simplicity and humility. Fourth one, anti-ritual concept. The strong critic of hollow ritual and priestly intermediaries. Fifth one, personal God. The Ishtalinga is a center of devotion, intimate, portable and accessible. Sixth one, language. All Vachanas are written in a Kannada language, thus breaking the monopoly of Sanskritic ritual knowledge. Some prominent Vachanakaras or writers of Vachana are Jedara Dasimaya, Basavanna, Allama Prabhu, Akka Mahadevi, Channa Basavanna, etc. Among the earliest Vachanakaras known as metaphysical insights. Core elements of Vachanas. First one, Shiva as a Parabrahman, the ultimate and formless reality and the source of everything. Second one, Linga as a Shiva's manifestation, not a mere idol, but the dynamic presence of Absolute. Third one, six-fold Patha, which means Sat Sthala, the soul's journey through the six metaphysical stages towards the union with Shiva. Fourth one, tripartite reality, the God, which means Linga, and the soul, which means Anga, and means of realization, which means Anga-Linga relation. And the fifth one is unity of worship and ontology. Ritual is sublimed into inner realization. Second text is Sri Siddhanta Sikhamani, which is known as the crown jewel of Virashaiva metaphysics. It is often attributed to Shivayogi Shivacharya and is said to contain the teachings and discussions between Renukacharya and Maharshi Agastya. Third one is Shunya Sampadane. It is a mystical prose dialogue compendium with embedded vachanas. The philosophical focus on emptiness, which means Shunya, Allama Prabhu's teachings, etc. And the fourth one, Virashaiva Agamas and other texts. Several Agamas types scriptures have shaped the Virashaivism. The Virashaiva Agamas, 28 in number, sometimes described as a distinct from traditional Shaiva Agama, and the other texts are Linga Jnana Bodhe, which is a concise treatise on the knowledge of the Linga. Next one is Mantra Gopya, which is allegedly an esoteric text expounding Linga Mantra practices. Next one is Basava Purana, which is written in Telugu language by Palkuriki Somanatha, hagiographical and devotional. It traces the lives of saints and embed theological messages. Next main concept is foundational concepts of Virashaivism. First concept is Linga Anga Guru Triad. The Virashaiva triad of Linga, Anga and Guru structures the journey from ignorance to enlightenment. First one is Linga, Shiva's present, accessible through Ishtalinga, breath and awareness. Second one, Anga, the soul or aspirant, which must be prepared, purified and aligned. Third one is Guru, the living embodiment of Shiva, who initiates, guides and dissolves illusions. These are not external relationships but internalized stages of realization. As the soul matures, the outer Guru become inner wisdom, the Linga become self-revealed and the Anga is transformed into pure awareness. Second concept is Sat Sthala doctrine. The Sat Sthala, which means six-stage path which guides the soul's ascent from duality to non-duality, which includes following points. First one is Bhakta Sthala, which means devotee stage, worship of Ishtalinga begins. Second one is Mahesha Sthala, which means recognition of Shiva within, realization that Shiva dwells within. Third one is Prasadi Sthala, which means accepting all as divine grace. One receives prasada not just as a food but as a Shiva's essence. Fourth one is Pranalingi Sthala, which means breath and Linga become one. The life breath itself become Linga. Fifth one is Sharana Sthala. Sharana means total surrender to the Shiva through the Ishtalinga. Sixth one is Aikya Sthala, non-dual union with Shiva and no distinction between worshipper and the worshipped. And there is no difference between worshipper and Shiva. Third one is the ethics of devotion, fivefold principles. The Virashaiva ethics are not abstract virtues but lived disciplines organized into five key codes that govern the devotees or Sharana's life. First one is Lingachara, which includes constant inner and outer worship of Ishtalinga. Second one is centering every action around the divine presence. Second one is Sadachara, which includes ethical conduct, compassion, non-violence, and humility. And second one is universal moral values and transcending caste. Third one is Shivachara, treating fellow devotee with a reverence. Second one, seeing Shiva in others, especially the oppressed. Fourth one is Bhratyachara. It includes services to the communities and humility in action and doing work as a service to the Shiva in all. Fifth one is Ganachara. It includes community life, living with the like-minded devotees, learning, sharing and guiding each other on the path. These five codes makes spirituality lived ethic. The Sharana is not merely a mystic but worker, friend, guide and revolutionary. Fourth concept is Ashtavarnas of Virashaivism. First one Guru, second one Linga, third one Jangama, fourth one Vibhuti, fifth one Rudraksha, sixth one Padodaka, seventh one Mantra, eighth one Prasada. These are known as Ashtavarnas. Fifth concept is the uniqueness of Virashaiva theology. At the heart of Virashaiva lies a living Shiva, not as a distant cosmic ruler but as a ever-present, immanent divinity who pervades, transcends and guides all aspects of life. The Ishtalinga, always worn by the devotee, represents this constant divine presence and serves as a focal point of worship, discipline and transformation. Virashaivism theology is distinctive by following points. First one, reinterpretation Shiva not merely as a deity to be worshipped but as a essential self, which means Atman, to be realized. Second one is denies any dualistic separation between soul and God, seeing the two as a essential one. And third one is rejects the concepts of moksha as a post-mortem salvation, advocating instead for liberation in a life to attain Jivan Mukti. Fourth one, the Virashaivism establish a theology of integration where life and spirituality are not opposite but both are continuum. Fifth one, the Anubhava as a supreme pramana. Sixth concept is the ontology of Shiva, the supreme principle. In Virashaiva metaphysics, Shiva is not a personified deity but the transcendental reality that gives rise to two forms. First one is Nirguna Shiva, which means absolute, formless, attributeless, identical with Parabrahman, beyond all dualities, birth and death, light and darkness, being or non-being. And the second one is Saguna Shiva, which means the manifest Lord, which means Ishvara, who assumes form out of compassion to guide devotees, typically expressed through the Linga. The Shiva is also known as the followings: Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means absolute being, Chit means absolute consciousness, Ananda means absolute bliss. Seventh concept is religion and social justice. The rise of Virashaivism was not merely a spiritual revolution, it was also social rebellion against entrenched hierarchies, ritual monopolies and caste-based exclusions. At its heart, Virashaivism sought to bring the divine to all, especially to those who denied access to spiritual life by orthodoxy Brahmanical structures. Ethical access of movement as follows. First one is egalitarianism, which means human dignity is based on inner realization but not on birth or class. Second one, work ethic. Honest labor is seen as a sacred. Third one is gender inclusion. Women, often voiceless in a religious discourse, were recognized as equal aspirants and visionaries. And the fourth point is rejection of priesthood monopoly. The devotees does not need an external priest. Their own purified body, mind become a temple. And the fifth point is rejected caste as a meaningless for spiritual attainment. Sixth one is preached that spiritual status came from experience but not on genealogy. And the seventh point is no ritual can purify unless the heart is pure. Eighth point is the caste is a social fiction and the true caste is character but not birth. And ninth point is knowledge and devotion are available to all men, women, outcasts and artisans, etc. This set the stage for religious humanism, which spoke of Shiva not only in terms of transcendent experience but also in terms of ethical living, compassion, and mutual respect. Eighth foundational concept of Virashaivism, ethics in daily life or integrity or ritual. The Virashaivism insists on morality based on presence and the awareness that Shiva is watching every act. This results in practical ethics of the followings. First one, do not cheat in a trade. Second one, do not exploit workers. Third one, do not speak falsely. Fourth one, do not harm animals. Fifth one, do not use religion for status. Ninth concept is Dasoha. Dasoha is a central and sacred concept in Virashaivism philosophy, especially emphasized in the teachings of Basavana and other Sharanas or devotees. The term comes from Kannada language. The word Dasa means servant or devotee and Oha means offering or service. Thus, Dasoha can be broadly translated as selfless service or sacred offerings done in devotion to God and society. Types of Dasoha. According to the Virashaiva tradition, Dasoha is expressed in multiple forms. First one is Annadasoha, which means Dasoha or offering of food. Feeding others, especially devotees and the needy, is considered as a sacred act. This is most visible form of Dasoha. Basavana's Anubhava Mantapa emphasized this act as a spiritual duty. Second one is Jnana Dasoha, which means Dasoha or offering of knowledge, sharing spiritual knowledge, philosophical insight, wisdom selflessly without arrogance or pride. Third one is Kaya Dasoha, which means Dasoha or offering of one's body or labor, using one's physical strength and body in the service of the community or in a spiritual sadhana like temple work, service to the Guru, manual labor without ego. And the fourth Dasoha is Artha Dasoha, which means Dasoha or offerings of wealth or material help, giving material resource for the welfares of the community, for temple service or for those in need, again without seeking the name or fame. 10th main concept of Virashaivism is liberation or moksha. Liberation is called Linganga Samarasya, which means the perfect fusion of devotee and Shiva. It is characterized by first one, no rebirth. Second one, total absorption, not just proximity to God. Third one, living liberation or Jivan Mukti. Thus, moksha is not an escape from the body but transformation of body into the linga. 11th concept is Virashaiva institutions, matas and guru lineage. After the initial dispersion and the movement was institutionalized through the matas and guru lineages. First one, matas or pitas, which are monastic centers such as those at Sri Shaila, Ujjaini, Kashi, Kedaranatha, Balehonnuru and others. Guru Shishya Parampara, teacher disciple lineage, formed the backbone of community teaching. Jangama orders, peripatetic mendicants who preached and taught Linga Bhakti. These institutions preserved the followings. First one, the teachings of Basava and Vachanakaras. Second one, Shatstha doctrine and Linga practices. Third one, community organization and education. Yet, over time, some matters become more hierarchical, sometimes diluting the original egalitarianism. Even so, many remained active centers of reform and the spiritual training. There are three types of matas. First one, Guru Mata. These matas belongs to the five Jagadguru Pitas of Panchacharyas. Second one, Virakta Matas. These matas belongs to the Shunya Pitas. And third one is Sharana Matas. These matas are also known as Sharana Basveshwara Matas. Example, Gulbarga. The Vachana movement and the role of Basavanna. The 12th century marks the crystallization of Virashaivism into a full-fledged socio-religious reform movement centered around the Kalyana in present-day Karnataka. Here, Basavanna, a prime minister in the court of Kalchuri king Bijala II, began to advocate for a radical reformation of religion and society. Some key innovations of Basava movements includes the followings. First one, universal access to the divine. Every individual, regardless of caste or gender, could wear the linga and commune with the Shiva directly. Second one is Anubhava Mantapa, a revolutionary spiritual forum where men and women from all the social backgrounds participated equally in sharing their spiritual realization. Third one is rejection of Vedic ritualism. Virashaivas refused to recognize Vedic rituals as the sole path to salvation. And the fourth point is ethical conduct, which means sadachara. Ethical behavior was considered more important than ritual observance. And the fifth point is work as worship, which means kayakave kailasa. The labor, especially honest labor, was seen as the path to liberation. This movement drew adherents from across caste and classes, including women mystics such as Akka Mahadevi and the farmer outcasts like Madara Channaya, thus laying the foundation for the society based on inner worth rather than social stratification. Post-Basava developments and the spread of Virashaivism. Mainly it consists 3 points. First one is establishment of matas, which are monastic centers across Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. These matas become key centers for religious instructions, social support and the community organization. And the second point, textual consolidation, doctrinal synthesis was attempted through the Sanskrit text like the Sri Siddhanta Shikamani, which aimed to integrate the revolutionary teachings of the movement into the structured metaphysical framework. And the third point is the division into sectors and schools, including distinction between Virashaiva Agama based matas and Vachana based spiritual communities. Finally, conclusion. The Virashaiva metaphysics is living philosophy, not a dry abstraction. It speaks of the followings. First one, a Shiva who is both formless and manifest. Second one, a soul who is both bound and free. Third one, a body that is both mortal and divine. Fourth one, a path that is both ethical and ecstatic. Fifth one, all works when done with integrity and devotion is equal. And sixth one, there is no division between sacred and secular. Everything can be linga samskara, which means offering to God. And the seventh one is the dignity of the labor becomes a form of social ethics and spiritual sadhana. This enables the movement to observe weavers, potters, barbers, farmers, cobblers and the others as a full participants in divine realization. Finally, Virashaivism as a living transformative tradition and offer a view of its potential future path in the evolving landscape of modern spirituality. Thank you.